Oftentimes, after owners have been dealing with a problem with their dog, they almost get blinders on. But I hear this all the time. I've tried everything, nothing works. I've watched every video, I've read all the books, I've tried all the methods, but nothing works. What ends up happening is they get tunnel vision. They're so focused on the issue, and they have all this anxiety and all the stress around that issue, that the world starts to feel very small. They start feeling like nothing they do is working, and that the dog is just doomed. They're doomed to live this life, and that's all there is to it. And this is a really good example of that exact scenario, where this one dog here has just been wreaking havoc amongst the community, and other community members are feeling the wrath of this, right? They don't know how to deal with it. So this is a really interesting episode. I can't wait to dig into it. So before we go any further, I just want to say, as I always do, that I'm going to be stopping the video lots, picking apart different parts that I see, explaining different techniques, the body language. This is about decoding the dog and explaining the methods. It's not about watching the full episode in its entirety. I will put a link to the full episode in my description, so if you want to go watch the full episode, you can. Until then, let's get into it. All right, buckle up.
A dog who has been very aggressive in every encounter. She is.
So let's just start off right away by saying, first of all, notice how the dog is spinning. It's right up there on my scale of 0 to 5. It's at a 5. It's reacting to every other dog and person walking by. The owner has zero control over the dog. And I want to point out a couple things right off the bat. Notice that it's wearing a harness. We see this almost every single time with these videos. The dog that's having the problems is almost, I would say 99% of the time, wearing a harness, because owners feel like the harnesses give them some kind of control, when really it's working against them. So what I want to do is explain collar placement here, because we're going to be talking about that throughout this video. So I'm going to play my little clip that I have where I explain collar placement and why it's so important that it be in the right place, and what I call the communication zone. And then I'm going to come back here and I'll just touch base a little bit more about the harness and why the harness actually works against the owners. So bear with me here. I'm going to hit play, and then I will be right back. Very often you'll hear me talk about, the leash is too low, the leash keeps falling, or the owner's using the pinch collar in the wrong place, or the whatever this collar. It doesn't matter what collar, whether it's a slip leash, a choke chain, a flat collar, a prong collar. It really doesn't matter, okay? Here's the difference. If the collar is in what I call the communication zone, which is up here where the blue is, I've labeled it communication zone right here. This is where we want our collars to be. As soon as they start to migrate down, the further down they get towards this red zone here, the less control you're going to have, the less communication you're going to be able to have with your dog. It's just, and this is what happens. As you're walking, this collar will just naturally start to migrate down. That's normal. Our job is to just get in the habit of very gently reaching up and repositioning it. That's all there is to it. What I tend to see is the collars way down here. Usually they're just kind of sitting along this, almost the shoulder bone here. But what we don't want is here. Okay, there's no communication here for us. The dogs are not going to hear. And in fact, the further this goes down, the closer it gets to the shoulder, the more power a dog has. All right. Okay, so now that you've seen the video, I've explained about the communication zone and the choke zone, why the harness might make you feel like you have more control. A lot of it is just marketing. It's the way these harnesses are marketed, where they say, oh, well, you're putting pressure on the shoulder, and there's all kinds of marketing gimmicks out there. Let's make something very clear, okay? If you don't believe anything else I say, you need to hear me loud and clear about this. There's a reason harnesses are used for sled dogs. Sled dogs need to be able to pull, right? That's their whole job. They are pulling a sled. Harnesses promote pulling. They allow all the dog's pressure to be harnessed right where it has its strength, which is in the shoulders and in the chest. That is the whole concept of a harness. When you have a harness on your dog, it may feel like you're in better control, because it automatically kind of puts the dog closer to the heel position, but what it doesn't do is allow you to communicate with your dog. You have zero communication at all. The only time that the dog's going to feel any kind of communication from you is when you're pulling. And pulling causes that reaction to lunge and to lurch forward and to snap and do all of the things that we don't want our dogs to do. So at a glance, it might feel like, oh, wow, okay, my dog's actually walking where I want him to walk, but you're not getting the communication you need. And I know it seems so simple when you see us just walk over and put a slip leash on and think, how is a simple little slip leash like that going to allow me to take this big, powerful dog and communicate? It's not the size of the leash. It's the position that collar is sitting at, or that slip leash is sitting at, right under the jawline. This is where we're going to get the most communication with the least amount of pressure. That's really the goal here. We want to, how can we speak as loud and clearly to our dogs as without using using the least amount of pressure or energy, right? So that's where a slip leash comes in really handy, because they're nice and light. There's not a lot to it. You're the moment you put any kind of tension or any pressure on that leash, it's instant communication to the dog. And it's that 2 or 3 seconds of communication that is going to portray to our dog what we're asking of it. So it just helps us mark whatever it is that we're trying to do a lot quicker and more efficiently than a harness ever will. Okay, so let's get back into it.
And he made the mistake of sticking his paw underneath there, and she grabbed a hold of him, and I couldn't get him loose.
Okay, first of all, I'm not here to blame the owners or to, speak badly of anyone, but I just want to point this out as a public service announcement. When you're walking your dog, if you walk past a dog behind a fence or behind a gate and that dog is acting aggressive or is extremely excited, it's your job to protect your dog. Don't allow your dog to go approaching under a fence or sniffing under a fence, because that other dog on the other side is extremely frustrated and he's frantic, right? And extremely frustrated, frantic dogs lash out. They grab on. They try to pull their target in. So the best thing you can do in that situation is just give the dog some space. Stay nice and calm. Keep your dog calm and just walk past. Don't even stop. Whatever you do, don't stand there and try to talk to the dog or just walk past. Don't engage, don't interfere, just carry on with your walk. Like I said, I'm not trying to blame this owner, but I do want to say that, I mean, if you let your dog sniff another dog under a fence, you can't get mad when your dog gets hurt, because it's your job to keep your dog safe. If you allowed it to happen, your dog gets hurt, you can't blame that other dog. The other dog was in his yard. The other dog was behind a fence. The other dog would never have been able to bite his dog if he had not allowed his dog to walk over to the fence.
I'm still angry about it. My little piece of heaven was soiled by this incident.
It's frustrating that he's saying, like, he's acting like the victim here. And I'm sorry, he's not the victim, nor is the dog. I mean, the dog was doing what dogs do. They were sniffing. His dog did what the owner basically said was okay, because he didn't stop her. So this is I'm not trying to be harsh here, but this is 100% the owner's fault. He allowed that whole scenario to unfold by allowing his dog to approach another dog's fence and to try to sniff or interact with another dog behind a fence. Please, just don't do it. Just don't. It's not safe. It's not worth it. And at the very least, if you do let it happen, don't blame the dog, either dogs or the owner, because it was your fault. You allowed that dog to go near somebody else's fence. There's no need for it. It's a big world. We can keep our dogs away from other people's fences.
Either Cesar tames the beast, I hope it works, or we're going to have another solution that includes removing Matilda from the neighborhood.
I haven't watched. I did see this episode, but it's been probably, I don't know, a year or so ago. I just remember the part where he starts yelling, "Damn it," and there is an altercation or something. I remember that part. I just want to say though, it frustrates me because, again, human error, dog pays the price, right? What does he say? Well, if it happens again, something's going to have to happen. This dog's going to have to be removed from the area. How about you take some responsibility for the fact that you allowed your dog to sniff another dog under a fence? Like, why is this dog? Don't get me wrong. This other dog sounds like it's got issues and we're going to look at it. I just don't think it's fair that this owner is acting all high and mighty here, because he's not innocent and he's not all high and mighty. he allowed his dog to approach another dog's fence.
Stop it, Manny.
All right, before we go any further, I am going to, as I do with all my videos, I want to put my little 3-minute clip in here. If you've already seen it before, you can just skip past it. If you're new to the channel, I do ask that you watch it just because I use a scale from 0 to 5 when I'm assessing dogs, and I'm going to be making reference to that scale throughout this video. So I'm just going to put that in here now, play it, and then I will come back and we're going to talk about that scale and reference this dog. Okay, so bear with me. So I just want to explain my scale. This is a scale that I use when I'm assessing dogs when I go to a client's place. So 0, level 0, they're sleeping, they're out cold, not a problem. Level 1, they're resting, they're awake, they're kind of watching what's going on. Maybe they're doing a gentle pant. Nothing, no, they're not participating. They're not following us around. They're not doing any of that. They're just laying there watching. Level 2, now they're walking around, they're sniffing, they're panting, they're playing with toys respectfully. They're still not getting in our way. They're not bugging anyone. They're with us, being part of the family. Level 3, now they're starting to get excited. Okay, so now we're getting more of a fast tail wag, bodies wagging. Maybe they're whining. They're attention seeking. They're taking, if you've got a dog that likes toys, he's bringing those toys. He's squeaking them really loud, or he's bringing them to you and demanding your attention. And he's unable to settle at this point. So you give him a command to go lay down or go settle down, and he just can't. Level 4, now we get into more severe problems. Right now they're jumping, maybe they're pulling on the leash, they're digging, they're chewing on objects that are on the floor, the furniture, they're starting to bark. And keep in mind that they can still do all of these other things in these other levels, right? Like you might still get whining and attention seeking, but this just means that there's more stuff going on. So they're escalating up to almost an unmanageable point now. Level 5 is where we start really seeing major problems, which is, they're destroying your furniture, your house. There's heavy panting sometimes, excessive barking. When you walk, they're scanning for threats. It's growling, snarling, fighting, and possibly fighting with a sibling, another dog in the house, or just overall being a little mischief maker. So that's a very simplified way to look at when I say a dog's at a 2 or a dog's at a 4. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so our goal as the owners or as handlers, we want to keep our dogs between a 0 and a 2. That's the perfect zone, right? If we're out walking, we're taking them for a walk, maybe we're throwing the ball for them, they can start to get into, a 3 a little bit, but we really do want to keep, every time we start seeing our dogs start to get a little bit more excited, we want to ask ourselves, okay, what level are they at? We want to try to keep them at that level. So as soon as we start seeing them rise up, we say, knock it off and settle them back down. It's a lot easier to keep our dogs at a level 2 and correct them just as they get to a level 3 than it is to wait for our dogs to get to a level 5 and then try to get them to a level 1. It just doesn't happen. They're just too far gone at that point.
Oh boy, I already see trouble. You can see the one in the black shirt is just being pulled, dragged all over the place.
So right off the bat, we can see, just keep my scale in mind here, where's this dog on that scale? He's scanning for threats, he's jerking, he's pulling on the owner. That owner is not at all connected to the dog at that moment, or sorry, at that point, other than through a leash, right? The owner is just an inconvenience to the dog. That dog is just, it's very animated, it's very guarded, it wants to interact with absolutely every single thing it can come in contact with. I'm not seeing a lot of aggression right now. I'm just seeing a lot of dominant behavior, a lot of excited behavior. 2 owners that have 0 control over it, right? They're just being taken for a ride by their dog, right? So no control. The dog's at a 5. As I said in my little clip there, our goal as dog owners is to keep our dogs at like a level 2.5. That's our sweet spot. Anything over that, and you're asking for trouble.
And then the guy was in the back, just being dragged by Matilda. That's really dangerous.
And the other thing to keep in mind is look at the tent. Oh, that was a horrible spot to stop. One sec. There we go. See the tension on the leash here? Like this, I've said over and over again in my videos. When a dog is walking with tension on the leash, that is just, you might as well be walking your dog and saying, attack, 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 kill, kill, kill. That is the communication that's going on between the dog and the humans right now. It's on a harness. The tension is so tight there. It's like having a bullet in the chamber of a gun and you're just waving it around with the safety unlocked. That's what's happening right now with this dog. Our goal is to have our dog just walk nice and calm beside us. Sure, they can be scanning. They can be watching. They don't need to be scanning for threats intensely, but like they can be walking around, checking everything out, just like you and I would when we're walking. When they start getting excited, when they start pulling, that what they're telling you is that they're not listening to you anymore. They're not, it's no longer a pack walk. It's just two humans being dragged or one human being dragged.
Come on, Maddie. Don't.
Okay, why? He already knows that this dog has a problem with this other dog. Here's the thing. You'll often hear me say that it's very important that we don't avoid things that scare our dogs. Right? We need to look for opportunities to train our dogs. But when I say that, what I'm saying is we need to look for controlled opportunities to expose our dogs to different things. This is not a controlled environment. Dog A is pulling as hard as he can. He's wearing a harness. He's pulling as hard as he can to get at this other dog. And then the other guy is the one with the dog, the one that is complaining about this dog. His dog is pulling him. I think she's also wearing a harness. So the two of them are pulling the owners to the center where these two dogs are going to meet and clash. So that's not a controlled environment. And that's the last thing in the world that anybody should be doing. You need to make sure that you are in control of your dog at all times. That's not being in control. If your dog is pulling you, you're not in control. And they might as well just be two gladiators just running straight for each other with all of that energy. And it's just going to end up with a big explosion.
Don't. They'll let it go. They'll let it go.
Oh, that was hard to watch. It's so frustrating because there was so many cues there to say this is a bad situation. This is going to end in a fight. But okay, let's fast forward. Okay, they ignored all of the signs, right? I already talked about the leash pulling and the, excited energy and all of those things that were already there. If by some chance your dog ever gets into a fight, it gets into that situation, the last thing in the world you should do is yell, okay? It will not help. It will make it a million times worse. So that guy going, damn it. I know it's instinct to want to yell. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me with my service dog one day, where my service dog got attacked by a pit bull. And the pit bull had Copper right by the throat. And the owner did like this one here. The owner of the pit bull did the same thing that this guy's doing. She's yelling and screaming at the top of her lungs. Don't get me wrong, it was extremely traumatic for me to see my beloved service dog being attacked by a pit bull. But instead of yelling, what I did is I grabbed a ball and I went, okay guys, come on. And I picked up the ball and I threw the ball. And the pit bull went, oh, cool ball, and dropped Copper and went running after the ball. It's that split second of distraction that saved Copper's life. It was, instead of me freaking out and yelling and screaming or jumping in and trying to get in between the two dogs, that would have only made it worse, and it probably would have ended up with my dog being dead and me being bit. Instead, because I used the ball as a distraction, I was like, okay guys, let's get the ball. I stayed nice and calm. I kept it excited, happy, right? Let's get the ball. And I threw the ball. It gave Copper an opportunity to get out of the grasp of the pit bull's mouth, but it also gave everyone there an opportunity to reset, because my tone was happy, right? It's whatever. We can freak out after the crisis is over. During the crisis, you need to remain as calm and as steady as you can. If you want, after you're done and your dog's safe and everything's fine, you want to fall on the ground screaming, go for it. But in that moment when your dog is being attacked, I need you, I beg you, please, stay calm. It will save you, your dog, potentially save your dog's life. It'll save you, and you'll become the leader that your dog desperately needs at that moment. You need to find a way to just keep yourself calm, bottle it up, give yourself permission to freak out later, but in that moment, stay as calm and as grounded as you can, because it will save either your dog's life or yours or whatever. So please, Just stay calm. Don't do like this guy.
This is exactly what I didn't want to happen. Son of a bitch!
Right? So, and again, now this guy's going to be on his high horse and be like, oh, it was this guy's fault and that dog's dangerous. But let's just back up here for a sec, okay? Let's back up. Just go all the way back to when these dogs were first meeting. I think it's right here. And watch how both dogs are pulling the owners. It's not just Matilda here.
She's crouching down.
Come here, Maddie.
Maddie.
Right? There you go. So she's on a tense leash. She's ahead of the owner. She's pulling the owner towards Matilda. And Matilda, the boxer, I think it's a boxer. Sorry, I didn't even see what breed this dog is here. But anyways, this dog, look at the tense leash. Look at the way he's pulling. He's way ahead of the owner. The owner is like on his tippy toes, putting all of his weight in, trying to keep his dog back. So this is 100%. This just as much this owner's fault as this one. But of course, this one's going to go all high and mighty here, right? So I'll just play just one second. Unfortunately, this dog here ended up getting the Springer Spaniel, but it looks like by the ear, the cheek. It's hard to tell here. And of course, the owner's pulling back, which is just going to cause it to be even worse. The last thing in the world you want to do is be pulling. I know it seems like instinct, you want to pull your dogs apart, but if one dog's already got another dog by its face or by an ear, you pulling is only going to cause a tear, right? So that's the last thing in the world that he should be doing here. But okay, let's go back to where we were. I think it was around 4:38 or something like that.
Don't let her go.
Dog is a menace.
Arturo.
Your dog is a menace. That's what he said. So frustrating. This is a very typical case of an owner feeling like he's done no wrong. It's everyone else's fault and he takes zero responsibility. Sadly, it's just not the case here. This is like, I still don't understand why on earth he would ever allow his dog to even go near this dog right now. If you're out walking and you see a dog, like even if your dog is being perfectly well behaved and is at a perfect heel and everything's great, if you are approached by a dog like this that's pulling on the owner and the owner is clearly not in control, it's your job to keep your dog safe. Move out of their way, give them space, have your dog step at 1 or 2 feet away and allow the other owners to pass or give them a wide berth. Don't assume that just because your dog's under control that everybody else is going to be a great dog owner and keep their dog under control.
But as the weeks went by, she started to show a lot more aggression towards other dogs. She acts like she wants to kill whatever dog she sees, and it's embarrassing, it's exhausting.
You can actually see her, she's so excited at that state. You can see like she's at a 5 on my scale. And because she can't get past that point on the leash, she starts spinning and then she's actually grabbing onto the leash with her mouth and trying to, pull the leash out of the owner's hand or bite through the leash. And this is a very, very dangerous case because in these situations, if God forbid that leash breaks or the dog, the owner trips and drops the leash, that dog any other dog in the area is going to be seriously hurt at that point.
There was blood and screaming, and it was really an awful scene.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying about the whole fence thing and the dog being frustrated on the other side. So this dog, he can't really see what's going on the other side. He can only hear and smell. And she's already shown that she's extremely reactive to other dogs. So you can just imagine the frustration that this dog is feeling, probably, all day sitting out here, hearing people or other dogs walking by and being unable to get to them. So when she finally is out there, she's just going to be a little tornado. And God forbid any other dog that approaches this fence, because she's already so frustrated, she's going to try to pull anything that gets close to the fence under.
So I think we're kind of at our wits' end with Matilda. If the situation doesn't improve, I don't know where to go from here. I think we've tried almost everything we can think of.
And that's where I was saying when I started this video about owners, they end up getting kind of blinders on. They get so focused on what's going on in the moment that they perhaps don't realize that what their tension, their anxiety and their animosity towards the situation is magnifying the issue that much more. So Sometimes it's better just to take a step back, breathe, and really look at absolutely every single trigger that your dog has, and then work out a plan for how to break it down and how to fix them, one at a time, instead of just this would be very overwhelming for any owner, right? There's so many different things going on here. So yeah, I can see it's very easy to see how you get tunnel vision and think you've tried everything, when really it's the problem is they're trying to fix the dog without looking at themselves. And the problem is they have to, where the problem begins is with the owner and the owner's energy. Until you get that under control, you're never going to get the dog under control.
Okay, just breathe. Don't keep your arms like that. Just breathe, just breathe. I know it's a bad.
See, and the reason Cesar's saying that, right? Like when you have your arms crossed like this, you're guarded, you're closed off. You're basically saying, I'm shutting down. And in dog version, this position like this is the owner is shutting down. And what Cesar's saying is, I need you to be open to my suggestions right now. I need you to relax, to breathe, to, when you're holding yourself like this, your shoulders are up, you're putting all this tension in your shoulders. By just releasing your arms and letting them fall down, you're letting go of some of that anxiety. You're shedding off the stress, which is what we want right now. We need you to be calm and just breathe. Just center yourself and breathe. So that's why he's very, very correct in getting the owner to just uncross the arms. Let's just reset here. Everything's fine. Everybody's safe. And then we can move forward. Don't sit there and live in that moment from 2 minutes ago where the dogs were fighting. This is a new moment now. Dogs live in the moment. They don't live 2 minutes ago, and they don't live 2 minutes in the future. They live right here. So let's deal with this right now. Here's a much calmer dog. The dog's already laying down. It's still looking around, but you can tell just by its whole attitude now that there's a shift in energy. And that's just from 2 seconds of Cesar taking the leash.
My initial thought was this was a great mistake on my part.
Good. He actually admits that it's a mistake on his part.
So it illustrated for me how really aggressive that dog is.
Just give me a chance, Arturo. I got him now.
Okay.
See, this is the thing though. Like I'm still not convinced the dog's aggressive. I think that it's frustrated and it's excited. I don't know how aggressive it is yet, because honestly, Coco is the one that went and lunged at Matilda, and then Matilda reacted. It's very easy to say, to place blame on the dog that bit, but let's remember that this dog also lunged at the other dog. So we've got two excited, frustrated dogs, with that kind of energy coming at each other. It doesn't necessarily mean that one's aggressive. It just means that one reacted to the other.
The first thing Cesar needs to do after a fight is to reset the dog into a calm state.
Notice here, now he's got the slip leash on. So, look at how high, this is the exact correct placement that we want the slip leash. I just want to point out here too. So we've got the harness, we've got the collar, and then we've got the slip leash. Again, I tell this to my clients all the time. Collars are great for holding dog tags. They are not great for attaching your leash to. Have a separate slip leash, or even a choke chain, something that you put on your dog and you have in this position that's used just for walking. The problem with collars is that they tend to be very thick, and so the thicker the collar, the more the pressure gets distributed across the whole throat. We want it nice and thin. If you watch like dog shows, you'll notice in dog shows that they use like paper thin leads, and that's because that the thinner the lead, the thinner the collar, the more control and communication we have with our dog. So that's why I swear by slip leashes, because they're nice and thin. They sit nicely right where we need them in the communication zone. And then all we have to do as owners is just go up and gently, we just get in the habit. It's almost like breathing. You just constantly going up and sliding it back up into position.
Just come and touch right here. And that's how she released.
Okay.
So I know some people see that and they're like, oh, he's kicking the dog. It's not a kick, it's a touch. Okay. There's no force in that kick. The reason the dog spun and reacted like that is because it's shock. And that's what we're going for, is that shock value, that, whoa, that was a weird touch. Wasn't expecting that. And so it just shocks them out of it. You're not doing it to hurt them. You're just trying to shock them out of it. Obviously the foot is great because it's always with us, right? We don't always have a glass of water or something to, to shock them out of it, but we always have our foot. So doing a gentle tap right on the, you kind of want to go around here in this area here, and just enough to just touch them enough to shock them out of whatever it is that they're doing, and get them to redirect and look at you. Whoa, what was that for? That's all we're looking for.
When you pull, it doesn't snap the brain out of it. It actually makes the brain more this way.
So that's what I was saying earlier about the whole, tension on the leash and having the dog running ahead and scanning for threats. Right? You could actually see this dog was going back and forth in front of the owner because it was guarding the owner. It was scanning for threats. It's just in high alert. The reason it was doing that was because of the combination of the harness and the tension on the leash.
So between the rib and the leg,
just tap it with your foot.
That's right. See it?
Okay, like that.
See,
Okay.
that was really good, right? Maybe it was a great demonstration of how effective just a very light touch is. Keep in mind that this touch is never meant to be a correction. It's meant to be a misdirection, right? The goal is to distract the dog or to stop the dog from doing something. It's not a correction. The correction happens up here when we go, that's the correction. This tap here is just to spin them around or get them to temporarily stop focusing on whatever it is that they're hyper focusing on.
Watch what happened here.
Okay, I love that. Did you guys see? She licked. So right away she went, did I say it again? Licked. That's what I meant to say. One of these days I'll say that right. So that's a dog's way of calming themselves down when they start. Now there's a difference. There's a fast lip lick where they, they're getting ready for a bite. They're getting ready for a fight. But this is a very quick, just one or two lick of the lips. Oh, I got that right. Which is her way of just trying to center herself and calm herself down. That's what we want. Notice she took a couple steps back, right? She instantly said, okay, she licked her lips and then stepped back, I think 1 or 2 steps. That's her way of raising the white flag with Cesar and saying, okay, I'm calm, I'm okay, I'm not in guard mode now, you're the leader.
It goes in the back, right there.
Venga.
See it?
Yeah, she never walks behind us.
She's still scanning because she's unsure, which is totally acceptable for where she is right now. This is her first time being forced to not guard, right? And she doesn't know how to relax yet. That's going to come with repetition. But right now, she's in the perfect position. This is where we want our dogs, is just right, not even beside us, but like one step behind us. That's perfect. And then as she does this more and more and gets more comfortable, the scanning will stop because she won't have to be on guard anymore. She's gone her whole life thinking she has to guard humans or guard her humans.
Yeah, hold right there. Mm-hmm. Okay? Okay. Just wait. I'm in the middle just to supervise. So what?
And notice right off the bat, as soon as he takes her, she's pulling already. Right? And already she's starting to, you can see these eyes are going over here towards this dog. So she went from being calm and relaxed with Cesar to instant, I must guard this human. And that tells you right there that she does not feel that he's a leader. She doesn't feel that he can protect her.
What happened right now?
She's just looking everywhere.
Yeah.
She kind of a little excited.
Yeah, the dog went in front of you.
When we're stressed, anxious, releases chemicals. We literally have like a stress cloud around us, and dogs smell that. And that's why she instantly, when he took over the leash, she picked up that cloud of scent, that all those chemicals that we release when we're stressed. And she went into, oh, he's scared, he's unsure, he's anxious, I must guard. That's why she didn't do that with Cesar, but she did do it with him.
Everybody wants a well-trained dog, but every dog wants a well-trained human.
All right. Well, hopefully we're easier to train than she is.
I love that. I love that so much. It's true. Our dogs crave balance. They crave consistency. And when dogs feel like they can't trust their humans, they can't depend on their humans, they feel they have no choice but take on that leadership role. But here's the thing, 99% of dogs are not leaders. They just aren't. There's a reason why at say a pack of wolves, you have the alpha, the most dominant, and then you'll usually, like husband, wife, right? Like the male and the female. And then you have all the pack members are behind them. because 99% of dogs want to be followers. The problem is that when we force a follower dog into a leader position, that dog is not equipped and it doesn't know how to regulate its body. It doesn't know how to control itself, and it certainly doesn't know how to control a pack. So it does its best with what little tools it has, but most dogs aren't equipped. And that's where you start getting these dogs that are super anxious or super defensive because they're like, geez, I don't know how to handle this. All I know is that the world's unsafe, and my human, I can't depend on my human to keep me safe. So I have to try to do it. And the only thing I know how to do is bite or to lunge or to bark or growl. And so it does whatever it can with what limited tools it has to try to fill that role. But it was never designed for that role to begin with. Okay, so you notice right away, as soon as she started, the moment she started going from a 2 to a 2.5, Cesar corrected it right away. He was like, right away, because it's really important that she come through that gate and meet those other dogs at a 2, even a 1.5. We want them as calm as possible when they first go into the park. And the way that we do that is by checking them before they actually go through the gate. We want them to be nice and calm before we even open the gate. And then once that gate is open, they need to wait for us to come through and then invite them through. And all of this is happening while they're at that, 1.5, 2. As soon as they start to get excited, we want to correct it, because any of those other dogs that are in the environment already are going to pick up on that energy. And they demand that the dog coming into the park has the exact same energy or less than them. As soon as that dog comes in with a higher level energy, the other dogs will attack. So that's why it's so important that Cesar correct her right there at the gate and say, hey, no, you need to stay nice and calm here. This is what's going to keep you safe.
She's nervous. This could go one of two ways.
See, this is something I want to bring up because you can hear this owner already kind of in his mind. He's got this whole tape going through. So I want to take a second to explain the difference between how dogs remember things and how humans remember things. Us humans, when an event happens, we play that memory over in our minds. We fast forward it, we rewind it, we pause it, we stop it, we show it to our friends, we put it on a big projector and play it with popcorn, right? Like that whole event plays through as one long trail of different things going on. Dogs remember things very differently. They remember them in picture form. They don't get me wrong. They still remember certain things, but they don't sit there and play those tapes through over and over in their head. The only time that they will get triggered is when another picture of that same image matches theirs all of a sudden shows up, and then they react to that picture. So I thought I would explain that here, because this owner is going, he's playing the tape through in his head, and he's, she's getting one or two things is going to happen. She's going to go in there and she's going to lash out and blow, and she's going to do all these things she's always done. But what Cesar's saying is that's why he's keeping those owners way over there, is this is the moment right now. Dogs live in the moment. Unless a picture all of a sudden magically shows up that triggers her, it should be fine. There's no reason for it not to be fine. And he's ensuring that by keeping her calm as she goes through the gate. So it's just all in how we handle each moment. Unfortunately, it's very hard to train people to think like a dog. Dogs think in the moment. They don't think in the past or the future. They think right here, right now, which is why we love them so much.
Behind her aggression.
So you notice he goes through first and then he leads her. He made sure she was calm and then invited her to come in. And that is the difference. If he had allowed her to pull him in, it would have been a signal to the other dogs that this dog was there for a fight, and it would have triggered a fight. But because he invited her in, he told all those other dogs, I'm in control. I'm the pack leader. Listen to me. Believe in me. I am introducing this dog to you. And he's telling this dog, don't worry about all these other dogs. I'm in control. You're here with me. I invited you in. You're my guest. She's doing everything right. She's a little tense right now. Okay, she's a lot tense, but this is all new to her, right? So she's just trying to figure it out, but she's already expressing herself a million times better than how she was out on that walk in the park in the beginning of the video when she was dragging the owner everywhere and scanning for threats. Now she's keeping herself centered. She's standing. She's allowing the other dogs to smell her. A little gentle tail wag there just to say, I'm pretty excited to be here, but I don't mean any harm. And she's just trying to keep herself nice and calm. I would like to see a little bit more lip licking just to keep her, calm. But she's doing everything right now. This is perfect.
See, no tension on the leash. Short, but not tense.
Right.
You notice how he's not even using a traditional slip leash here, right? You don't need anything special. You can use, as long as you just got even just a regular old flat collar like this works, or sorry, flat leash like this works. You just loop it through the handle and there's your slip leash. You don't need to go to the store and buy anything fancy. You don't need any special equipment. This is just as effective as a regular technical slip leash. All we want is just something that is going to be up here in the communication zone. So I just wanted to point that out, that he's not using anything special, just a regular old, leash.
So it's really unbelievable how much Matilda's changed just from earlier today.
She hasn't changed, though. This is the thing. She is how she's always been. She simply was doing what the owners told her to do, which was to be on guard and to protect. Now that she's with a handler that says, I don't need you to guard, I don't need you to protect, she can be who she really is, which is a follower, which is just a gentle, laid-back dog.
Please come in. Let me show you what it is to walk a dog. Let's go.
So you notice he didn't say, come on, girl, come on, and get her excited. He looked where he wanted to go, and he just started moving forward and assumed the dog would come in behind. This is what we need to do. If you're one of those people that gets your dog all excited and says, oh, come on, let's go for a walk, or, picks up the leash and gets them all excited, that's where the problem is. You don't want to. You want to walk with intention. You very quietly reach down, you put the leash on, and then you just turn and you look where you want to go and you go. Assume that your dog is following you. Just assume. If they all of a sudden start trying to get ahead of you, then you give them a correction, right? If they start pulling you, you give them their correction, get them back in position. Assume that your dog is doing what you want them to do and just move forward. Don't beg them. Don't get them excited. Don't add any extra energy. You just slip the leash on and you go.
Here, Mr. Sam.
Okay, so notice as soon as that owner picked up the leash, she starts frantically lip licking, right? She's all of a sudden, she's already starting to feel more stress, more anxiety, because she can smell that on the owner, right? The owner's got this big cloud around him, and she immediately picks up that stress. And unfortunately, Lorenzo, the llama, is walking right by there, which is just adding to the stress that she's already smelling and picking up from the owner. But I just want you to notice a difference in her body already. Like, you can tell she's already nervous now.
This is you.
Okay.
How do I look?
Yeah, it's a little tense.
And tentative.
Yeah.
Tentative is one of the worst things in the world you can do to your dog. If you're one of these people, or you see somebody that kind of reaches in and just, they're nervous, they kind of jerk back, they're tentative, that will almost always trigger a reaction, whether that's a bite or a snap or a growl or a retreat back, whatever it is. It's that nervousness, that tentative action will always trigger the response that we don't want.
See how the right shoulder is lower?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's compensating.
Yeah.
Which means he's not relaxed yet.
Right.
Again, this is a learned behavior, right? So Cesar caught it right away. He's relaxed with his left shoulder, right? His left shoulder is relaxed, but he's holding his right shoulder up like this. So all of this tension is still there, and that tension is still creating that cloud around us, which the dogs smell, that unsure, nervous, anxious smell that the dogs pick up on. So be very conscious of your own body language, because not only does that signal that to the dog, but it also signals to your brain what chemicals to create and release out into the environment.
Yeah, then you can call it that way. Head up, don't look at the floor, that's right. What's your favorite?
It's really important that you have you hear Cesar say this all the time, you want to have it loose, not tense. You want to have your leash short, but not tense. You want to have it so that when your arms relax and everything's fine, there's zero tension on the leash. There's no contact at all. As soon as you need to make contact with your dog, all you have to do is twitch your finger or just lightly move your wrist, and that connection is made to the dog, that communication to say, hey, knock it off, or get in position, or whatever it is that you're trying to communicate. It should not be this long jerking motion, or this constant struggle back and forth. You should be perfectly relaxed. Your arm should be relaxed. Your hand should be relaxed. As soon as you need to communicate with your dog, all you should have to do is flick that finger or flick your wrist, and the communication should be immediately felt to the dog.
Difference?
Yeah. It's less tense. I mean, it's very, very
Yeah.
smooth.
See how happy the dog is? Like, you totally relaxed. Her tail's in the perfect position. This is where we want our dog's tails. Her body language, she's very aloof now. She's just do. I'm just going for a walk with my human. Perfectly happy. What a huge transformation in 2 minutes? All because he changed his body language.
Sit. Good girl, right?
So that was actually really good, because he did the tap right as she was just starting to kind of zero in on another dog. So that was really good. Unfortunately, it was a fluke. He tried to do the toe tap to make her sit, and that's not what we want to do. All you want to do in that position, as soon as you stop, you do a gentle pull up on the leash and you say sit, or you don't even have to say sit. Just that gentle pull up on the leash should be the signal to your dog to sit. The toe tap should only be done, or the heel tap should only be done as an interrupt. So we were wanting to surprise our dog out of something. So I guess he was maybe trying to do it to show Cesar that he understood, what the toe tap was, but he lucked out, because she was actually just starting to kind of show a little too much interest in a dog. And so he did the toe tap at the perfect time. Just, it was a fluke.
When you go to a dog park, it's off leash.
Right.
So I do want to say, like, I understand, I do understand wanting to bring the dog to the off-leash park, because obviously the dog psychology center, these dogs are, a lot more balanced. They've had training. They've, had that structure. Going to an off-leash park can be a great place to socialize your dog under the right circumstances. I actually find that there's way more negatives to a dog park than there is positives. So I actually tend to stay away from them for the most part. There's a few that I really like going to, but for the most, my experience is most people, they bring their dogs in when the dogs are excited. They didn't walk them first. The dog's just a ball of energy. They bring their dog in there. Everybody sits on their phone or congregates over in a corner. Nobody's paying attention to the dogs. The dogs are all excited and all in different levels of excitement. And that's why there's all these fights, right? So I say that because this is the one part of the video where I actually disagree. I don't feel that I would bring this particular dog to an off-leash park yet. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever. I'm saying that I would probably want to see this dog have at least a week or so of training first, of, being able to walk without lunging and going after everybody. Once he's done that, and you've taken him for an hour walk and you've burned off all that energy, then you bring him to an off-leash park and allow him that experience if you want. But this is TV, and they're trying to get as much as they can to demonstrate as much as they can. So they're trying to condense what probably should be done over a matter of weeks into a 45-minute show. Nothing against Cesar. It's just, I just feel like maybe it's a little quick to be bringing him to the off-leash park.
Always, before you enter into any door, calm, submissive. Please come in.
So you noticed how he got her to sit down, relax first, before that this door was even open, right? So we want to set our dog up to know what the ground rules are way before. We don't want to wait until we're already in the park to get our dog calm. We want our dog to be calm before they even enter the park, because as I explained before, when they're calm before you go into the park, then they're signaling to all the other dogs that they're under control, and that the other dogs aren't going to be tempted to go in there and try to take matters under their own paw.
Calm, submissive.
Yep.
Calm, submissive here.
I also want to point out, I know it always surprises me how many people don't realize that the goal here is you've got this waiting area, right? So you got outside the dog park, you got your first gate. The goal is get your dog calm there. When they're calm, they've sat, they're nice and well balanced. You come through the first gate, you invite them through, you close the gate, and then you get them to be calm here. This is the point where a lot of people rush or they don't understand that if your dog is bouncing off the walls in here and they're getting excited here, this is not the time to let them come through to the next stage of meeting all the other dogs. They need to be calm in this area first. Once they're calm here, then and only then do you open that gate and allow them to come through and meet all the other dogs. But what I see a lot of people do is the dogs get, they're already pulling them through here. They get into this area. They let go of the leash. Like they take the leash off here. The dog's still bouncing off the wall. The other dogs are barking at them through. And then they just open the gate and there's this big explosion at the gate.
Now we can come in.
So you notice how he's got her sitting. She's nice and calm. He waited until she was nice and relaxed. He comes through the gate first. He opens the door, and then he's going to invite her in.
You see, she's curious. So, see how she's walking?
Look at that happy. Her head's up. That's not at all dominant. She's just like, woohoo, I'm at Disneyland for dogs, right? You could not ask for a better position. This is her mouth's nice and it's very relaxed. When dogs are stressed, they clench just like us, right? They hold a lot of tension right here in their jaw. So when their mouth is open like that, she's super relaxed. Her tail, it got a nice fast little beat to it, but it's not super high and it's not rigid. It's just super relaxed and happy. This is no tension at all in her back end. Her muscles aren't flexed, and she's just super happy.
When Matilda gets excited seeing another dog, Sam uses the correction and snaps her.
That was awesome. Like right on. So she went to lock onto that other dog, like just zero in on it. And right away he gave a perfect correction and she just went, whoa, okay, message received. That was perfect. Good job.
See, here she is in front. But you see how you see that?
It's really amazing how quickly our dogs learn to creep. I have 4 dogs and I still have to constantly, remind them. Like it's not a big deal anymore, but it's just hey, knock it off. Right? I'm constantly having to remind them that you need to be here, I need to be here. And they learn to creep. And that's what she's doing is she's just very casually creeping up ahead, getting further and further ahead. And she'll get there eventually. It just means you just got to keep doing the corrections.
Was excited. So we want no tail up, we want no head up, we want no jerking. None of that.
See, she's scanning already, right? Like, so she's excited. That tail's going really fast. It's very rigid. You can see the muscles are all defined again. So, she's carrying all that tension in there and she's already scanning, looking for a target, all because of the position that she started off. If they had treated the beach like they treated the dog park, where you sit her down, you get her calm, you wait until she's calm before you advanced onto the beach, they would have had a different outcome. But because they didn't give her time to transition, she was already starting to get excited the closer she got to the beach. By the time they got to the beach, she was already pulling them, and then she went into that protection guard mode.
Oh!
Yeah. Arturo and Coco.
You open up, huh? That's good. That's a good stay right there.
That's awesome. Couldn't ask for better than that. She stayed nice and calm. She stayed in the sit position. Notice how this owner, I don't mean to hate on him, but notice how, he clearly didn't hear anything that Cesar said. He's still letting his dog, pull him, still using a harness, doing all the wrong things. And these guys are doing great. They're still... They got learning to do. It's not going to happen overnight for them. It'll happen overnight for the dog way before it happens overnight for the human. Humans take a little bit longer to learn. All right, guys, that's the end of this episode. What an awesome episode. This was really good. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. I had a wonderful time. As always, I just want to thank you guys so much. You have no idea how much it means to me when I keep refreshing. And, I'm a new YouTuber, right? I'm always refreshing. Every time I see a new sub, I'm like, yahoo, I'm doing it. This is awesome. I love that you guys are enjoying the content. I really enjoy all the feedback and the comments. I'm just so grateful for all of you. So until next time, keep walking those dogs, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.